Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review new movies and television shows and release a review every day from Monday to Friday. Today, I want to talk about Creed 3. This movie did well at being a standalone product, so I'm going to review it as such. Also, this is based on my theater experience. Creed 3 is about Adonis Creed, a boxer who retires as the heavyweight champion of the world. After retiring, he begins managing younger fighters and helping his longtime coach and friend, Duke, run their boxing gym. One day, an old friend named Damien shows up and stirs up unresolved feelings from the past. Creed tries to help Damien get back into boxing, but it ends up leading to an epic showdown between friends. The story was written by Ryan Coogler, and the screenplay was written by Keenan Coogler and Zach Balin. The film was directed by and stars Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed, and stars Tessa Thompson as Bianca Creed, and Jonathan Majors as Damian Anderson. To start off, let's look at the good. Jonathan Majors is the biggest draw of this film. He plays every aspect of his character well, and for most of the movie I was just straight up rooting for Damien over Creed. He steals center stage every time he's on screen, and he puts so much passion and emotion to everything he does that it's hard not to get swept up in his performance too. He starts off as friends with Creed, and from the way they interact you can tell he's biting something back the entire time. When he finally lets loose, the dialogue and writing was comically bad, but Majors does his best to turn a hacky villain routine into something palatable, and he pulls it off. Majors is a great actor who's only going to get better. After Majors, the next big draw is the fights. They're well done, but are a small part of the overall film. At 2 hours in length, the movie only has about 20 minutes of actual fighting. To be fair, there's also a lot of pomp and ceremony around each of them, with grand entrances, stare downs, and some training montages. The fights start off short and get progressively longer and more cinematic, the last fight being the most visual of all of them. There are a lot of cool in-fight visual tricks used that I just loved. Like in the first fight, we watch Creed taking shots and trying to calculate the timing of his opponent's combo. The camera does these slow motion shots of Creed slipping parts of the combo and implying that he's getting closer and closer to perfecting the timing. Then when he's finally got it, we get a slow-mo breakdown of his combo. We watch as he slips every shot, throws counters of his own, and takes down his opponent. It's a great sequence and it really captured the rhythm and flow of boxing. All of the fights except for the last one are filled with neat tricks like this to help make them feel more like a chess match than a brutal beatdown. The last fight changes things up. It takes the emotions of the fight and puts them into the visuals, literally having the crowd fade away at one point and having the stage manifest different aspects of their emotional journey while they fight. It's a bit trippy, but it's a neat idea to represent emotions more than physicality. Next, we have the production side of things. The camera work is generally smooth. There are a few slow-mos during the fights and a couple of generic training montages. The fights themselves look great, including a lot of cool visual tricks and are filled with energy. In terms of the visual journey, the film skips a lot of time and only shows one of older Damien's professional fights. It feels rushed, and the film could easily have fit another fight or two of his in there while cutting back on some of the ceremony around the fights or some of the repetitive fights between Creed and his wife. The soundtrack is made up of background instrumentals and a few original hip-hop, rap-style songs that play over the montages. The music is scored for each of the big moments in the fights, and it's done with precision and care. The music fades, rises, and recedes at all the perfect moments, and we get amazing cinematic finishes because of it. The last punch was especially well done. That said, at times the dialogue was hard to hear because the audio mixing on the music was a little too loud, and the actors were a little too quiet, especially Tessa Thompson. I struggled to hear most of her dialogue throughout the film. This brings me to the parts of the movie that I didn't like: the Creed family and the way the story treats Damien. Creed is 100% the reason Damien struggled in life, and Damien has a legitimate beef with him. The story tries to pretend that Creed did nothing wrong, but that's nonsense. They needlessly paint Damien as a cheater and a bad person just so that the audience can root for Creed without feeling bad. He only cheats in one fight in incredibly minor ways, and some of what they paint as cheating is just a good strategy that most top fighters employ. Targeting past injuries is smart. It's literally pushing your advantages and capitalizing on your opponent's weaknesses. The film never takes the time to humanize Damien, but finds time to have the other characters badmouth him or refer to him in highly degrading terms like animal and beast. The resentment between Damien and Creed also isn't depicted well. There's no lead up to the switch flip moment between them. One moment they're fine, and the next Damien is trash-talking Creed's family on TV. Then after the fight between them, he's back to normal. It happens in the blink of an eye and leaves you reeling. The story feels like a good one that just wasn't executed properly. Michael B. Jordan as Creed is like an animatronic. He does the right face at the right time, and he looks right for the part, but there's no emotion behind his actions. In this movie, someone close to Creed dies, and I swear to God he did the one tear trope. You know when they put the fake tears in their eyes so they can roll down their face at the right moment? It just looked cheesy. Tessa Thompson wasn't much better. She does the emoting parts well enough, but for the entire film she's speaking in a super soft voice that can barely be heard, and putting out this vibe of "I can't wait to go home." She delivers every line like Creed is her annoying little brother that she's tired of being around, and the chemistry between them is lacking to say the least. I could blame the writing, but at no point does she seem like a woman worried about her husband's mental health. Overall, I enjoyed Majors' performance and the music, and I thought the fights were well done, but the movie was boring overall, and they didn't execute the emotional parts of the journey well enough for me to really care about Creed and his midlife crisis. Most of the fights had no emotional weight to them and ended up being a well done but vapid stimulation. The final fight had some interesting visual elements to it, but it failed to fire the Chekhov gun that they had spent the entire film setting up, and from a writer's standpoint that felt bad. They had this routine of figuring out an opponent's timing to line up a counter and telling their corner checkmate right before the knockout punch, and then neither of them did it in the final fight. What a letdown. 6 out of 10.